Wow, and it's on the green. Brilliant. Scoring the headlines that matter. Chip and Post. Legends rising. Now you're listening with power. Hello and welcome to Chip and Post. I'm Andre Van Zark, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more golf content. All right, let's jump into it. In today's episode, we're going to talk about an epic night in TGL. You know, we have so many good things to talk about, and I was expecting the Bay Golf Club to do something about it, but you know, the Atlanta Drive Golf Club continue to show what they are made of. So Billy Horschel clutching up with a winning putt to keep Atlanta Drive Golf Club, you guessed it, undefeated. So this was their rematch against the Bay Golf Club, and Atlanta came out on top 7-4. If you're new to the TGL, is this high-tech indoor golf league at SoFi Center. You know, mixing virtual holes with real shots, and it's full of dramas for sure. You know, they have the mics and they are talking and everything, so that is part of it, and there is high stakes around here. So think about it, you know, it's team golf with strategy, like these hammer throws and that can double the points in one hole. You know, many good things can happen in the TGL. So picture this. You know, it's a Tuesday night. Season 2 is hitting up, and Atlanta's defending their title from last year. You know, the first game they had, they destroyed LA, and they were just doing it all over again. So Billy Horschel, the closer extraordinaire, you know, steps off on hole 13 with a 7-footer birdie. You know, that was incredible. I was stoked when that happened, you know. So the match is on the line, and boom, you guessed it, it was there. He drains it, and that's the third time in his last 3 outings at SoFi, so that he nailed a decisive putt. So last year, we had a 17-footer to win the finals, and earlier this season, a walk-off eagle. You know, this one wasn't as long, but it sealed the deal, pushing Atlanta to 2-0 with a 7th straight win. You know, they're looking unstoppable, as I said on my Twitter before, unstoppable as they chase back-to-back championship. So, and like I said, if you want to check me out, more updates on golf, you can follow me on X, Substack, and YouTube. Horschel summed it up perfectly. We hammed and egged it really well. You know, for those who don't know what that means, the team cover for each other. When the guys struggled, one another came in and stepped in and did what they had to do to, you know, fix up the previous problem that the other golfer was having. So what are the key moments here that we can actually note out? You know, in triples, where 3 players from each team alternate shots, Patrick, Cantlay, and alternate Chris Gotterup had these insane chip-ins, you know, that kept things tight. So those save huge points. Atlanta outscored the Bay 4-2 in singles, the one-on-one format. And get this, Atlanta outscored the Bay 4-2 in singles, the one-on-one format. They've got a plus 25-point differential in singles history at SoFi. That's dominance. Now, let's talk strategy, because TGL is as much brain as bronze. You know, you can't be just hitting yards if you don't know how to, you know, put things in a right spot. You know, the hammer in this game is a changer, you know, and teams can throw it to make a hole worth 2 points. 2 points instead of 1. But the opponents can decline and take the points themselves. So Atlanta led the league in hammer differentials last year, and they crushed it again. They declined 3 hammers from the Bay, avoiding risky 2-point swings, and picked up at 2 of their own, you know? So smart play, if you ask me. They had 2 hammers left in the match and didn't force anything. Horschel was pumped to have Cantlay back as their hammer expert. On the flip side, the Bay's Shane Lowry admitted post-match, quoting here, "Might have thrown our hammers too early. We just gave them too many holes." Ouch. That's kind of the second guessing that hurts, you know? Early in triples, it was back and forth, Gotterup with Atlanta, for a 1-0 lead with 9-footer putt par on hole 2. So then the Bay tied it up, took a 2-1 lead after Atlanta declined a hammer on hole 4, but Atlanta flipped the script at hole 6, Alpine, and a tough one, Wyndham Clark bombed a 333-yard drive for the Bay. Lowry stuck a 6-iron to 9 feet. Locked good for them, but Gotterup had this nightmare chip. Feet in the bunker, ball on the lips. He calls timeout. Figure it out and holds it for birdie. Atlanta throws the hammer. Bay declines, tied the game at 2-2, and Gotterup called it a lot of luck. But hey, you got to take those breaks. Then at hole 8, Temple, a demanding par 4. Gotterup nails a drive over the pinched fairway, while Ludwig Apberg misses left into penalty. The Bay messes up their third shot, goes short into more penalties. Horschel chirps, quoting here, "You guys have any mulligans?" Classic banter, if you ask me. Bay concedes. Atlanta leads 3-2. So we're heading into the last hole of triples. The Bay's trailing 3-2, but in position. Clark has a 5-footer for birdie. Atlanta's starting at a 40-foot chip. Cantlay using Justin Thomas wedge he obsessed with, So holds out for a tie. Huge momentum keeper, if you ask me. Keeping Atlanta ahead in singles. So singles are sealed, and they sealed it. But let's not forget hole 10, Let's not forget. Lowry hands Horschel a rare L with a hammer that Atlanta declines, trying it at 3-3 briefly. Then at hole 12, Cenote, this wild hole, Atlanta's up by 3 and declines another hammer instead of risking a 9-foot par putt with holes left and hammers in pocket. Pretty smart if you ask me, But that's what I call strategy in TGL. Oh, and speaking of Cenote, LPGA star Lexi Thompson was there earlier, taking swings at it. The league just announced a WTGL league for the women's version. I'm so stoked and happy for this because I've been wanting and asking and pledging for a women's version of the TGL, I love myself some women's golf, so why not? Why not? So it's starting late 2026 with LPGA pros at SoFi Center. Thompson said it exciting, pushing the women's game forward. Love that. Golf's growing. It's going to be with Tomorrow Sports, and this brings the future of women's golf. We have the future for males golf. Why not have it for the females? So, more fun holes this season. The par 4 Stinger. This one has been the big talk of the century this time. So Gotterup became only the second player to nail a stinger under the overhanging rock into the fairway, using the same 1-iron from his 2025 Scottish Open win. Flatted it perfect. Led to a par win, giving Atlanta a 4-3 lead after Apberg missed right into penalty. So, wrapping up things, let's close it up. Let's not keep you guys hanging anymore. So the Bay fought well they fought well, and they were giving, Atlanta Drive some big, strong contenders right there. But, they fell. They fell to a 0-1, and this is the first game they have this season, the Bay. So Atlanta's point differential and strategies are why they're kings right now. That we can't deny that. All the way through. We cannot deny that. So we're looking ahead next Tuesday, January 13th at 7 p.m. ET. Tiger Woods returns to SoFi. He's going to be there, the one and only Tiger Woods, even though I prefer McIlroy, but that's another story. So he's going to be mic'd up, helping Max Homa, Kevin Kisner, and Akshay Bhatia for Jupiter Links against New York Golf Club, Matt Fitzpatrick. So Atlanta's back February 2nd at 5 p.m. ET versus Jupiter, and the Bay bounces back at January 26th at 7 p.m. ET versus Boston Common Golf. So, what a night. Wow. Proves why TGL's addicting. The strategy, the skill, the trash talk. If you're into golf, check it out. You're not going to be disappointed. There's a lot of people complaining, but I don't see why you should be complaining. This is the future of golf. No doubt about it. There's a lot of people backing it up, and I'm really happy that this is a thing. So, anyways, I'm Andre Van Zark for Chip and Post. Check me out on X, YouTube, and Substack for more. And you can check out my TikTok as well, where I put some shorts out there and some memes. Bye!